Hey everybody, this is Ozark Prepper 1. Happy Easter Sunday. Today I'm going to talk about something that I find interesting, and that is Washington's prophecy. That's some visions that our first president, George Washington, had. And he predicted 3 great perils in this country. And I believe the first one was the Civil War. And he talked about how we would come back together after that. And that was in the 1800s, 1863 to 65, or somewhere around there. But so the second great peril for this country would be World War II. And he speaks of a third great peril. And you guys can look this up. It's all over YouTube or all over the internet. You can research it. He speaks of the third great peril being a dark cloud already hanging over the United States. And then 3 other areas of the world invade us by land and sea and air even. I don't remember if he said air, but I know land and sea. And I believe that dark cloud he's talking about is what we're seeing, socialism. And he named the players. He said they would come from Asia, and they would come from Europe and Africa. And that doesn't mean the people. That doesn't mean our immigrants our normal immigrants we have. That's not what that is. I believe he's talking about these players on the world stage, these big boys, the ones that pushing their agenda. But what's happening, let's put it in layman's terms. Maybe I'm wrong. When they see us fighting amongst ourselves, and when they push for disarmament of the citizens, then once they feel they've got their hooks in us good, then I believe it wouldn't be a big deal for them to send their people over this way and try to storm our nation. Now, mainland China doesn't have a history of doing that physically. But they may be able to do it politically. I hear vehicles coming. But we're going to see, I believe that's what we're going to see happen. But he also talks at the end of it that Americans come back together and fight off the invader. They say they're all pushed back out, and our cities are restored once again. Prior to that, he said our cities would be burning. And we've seen some of that, but I don't know if that's the utter great destruction he's talking about. But all this racial stuff is generated by the media, because you can't have it in large numbers all of a sudden like it is now. When before it was sporadic, little parts here and there in in the country, there'd be a few haters here and there of all races. There's some people, no matter what color they are, they're going to hate somebody else from another color. That's just the way it is. You're not going to change it no matter what you do. The best thing to do is be a nice person. And don't instigate trouble. Don't take any either, but don't instigate it. But I believe one day we're going to see an attempted invasion of our country when they feel we are weak and divided just enough. And we look pretty divided now. And you got a little craziness on both sides, but my personal opinion, the left side perceives themselves as the most informed because, after all, they watch the news. And they perceive the other side as the dumb side. But which side is rolling over for the rules of the world? Bending over and saying, yes, yes, sir, I'll line up for what you give me. That's not the right side. The left side's doing that. And I grew up in a family that was a left side when I was younger. And they didn't know any better. They just figured, that's the side that takes care of the working man. But that's changed. You can't take care of them if there's no jobs there. And you can't take care of them if it's not your people there. It was all just a long-term setup. It's like playing a game of chess. The game's not about a real quick win. It's long-term. Strategy. Putting your people in place for the grand finale. And that's how the big players in the world, that's how they run things. They do things over 100 and 200 year spans, making decisions. Things happening right now, decisions were made 100 years ago. And they didn't even, there's no way they could have forecasted all the technology we have now. But the planning was there of what power they wanted in place. They could do that, because that never changes. The wicked hearts of man never change. That they always have that same goal of self-fulfillment and fast wealth. When they don't even plan their own legacy of what they want people to remember them by. They don't care, though, because they're indulging in life now. But everything you see right now is like a roller coaster. It's like gaslighting. They got people, they'll have a little bit of hope and take it away. Give them a little bit more hope, take it away. And that's all by design. But if you guys are bored, look into George Washington's vision, George Washington's prophecies. He only had this, I think, one time. And regardless of any affiliations he had with any clubs or anything, the guy was a praying guy. And he was fighting a losing battle and still won. So, the guys he had fighting with him were wore out, injured, sick, they were freezing. And this was way back in the 1700s when they couldn't just run out and get a pair of Carhartts and put on. Uh, they ended up still winning. And, you know, a man of his stature to even publish what he saw would mean he really believes it. And, you know, I find it fascinating. Anyway, you guys all have a happy Easter and hopefully a good next week. Ozark Prepper 1.